Hello, this is Kimberly Benjamin, HR Compliance Coach, and I help businesses and HR professionals to stay legal and compliant with employment laws by assisting them with saving money and saving revenue, as well as their personal assets, protecting their personal assets so that they're not able to get sued or lose a lot of money due to fines, fees, and lawsuits. So I'm excited to be here today because a lot of you know that I speak about the importance of being HR compliant. And as you know, I'm an HR compliance coach, and I really do enjoy traveling all over the world helping people with staying legal and staying compliant. But I recognize it wasn't always that way. Early in my career, that was an area that I struggled with. And as many of you, you may be new to the field or you're new to business and you may not understand what being compliant is all about. Or you may be an HR professional yourself and you're trying to get into the field, or you're in a brand new position and your supervisor doesn't really value being compliant, and you know it in your heart and you know that that's not right and you have to do something about it. So I wanted to share with you my story, the beginning of my career in HR. I've been in HR 27 years, licensed and certified in it, and I absolutely love it, but it wasn't always simple. There were some areas, some times in my life where I struggled a little trying to understand employment laws, trying to understand the field of HR. HR covers a lot, and that's one of the things that I say whenever I speak is, what comes to your mind when you think of HR? When you think of human resources, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, because a lot of people say a lot of different things about HR. And one of the reasons why is because we have a lot on our plate. You have a lot on your plate. And it's important that you're able to work smarter and not harder and know what you need to do to stay current with the employment laws. They change so much. So I'm going to share with you my beginning story, my story as to the reason why I realized early in my career that things needed to change and that I needed to be that HR professional that people valued and seeked after and came to when they needed advice, needed to know what is the current law on a particular area, what should I do to stay legal and to stay compliant. So again, I'm so excited that you're here. Feel free to grab your pen and paper. I'm going to share with you some resources towards the end of the training as well that could be very helpful for you as well. So the very first thing that I would like to share with you is my struggle. A lot of you may have lost your job or you've been trying to get into HR and it was kind of hard for you to get into. A lot of you may have your business and you don't know anything, you don't know what I'm talking about right now. You're saying, Kim, you keep talking about this HR thing, but I don't even know what that means. So my first question for you is, what comes to your mind when you think of HR, when you think of human resources? What comes to your mind? What are some of the areas that you believe falls up under HR? And I'll give you a moment to type that down below. What are some of those areas that falls up under HR for you? And I'll share with you some of the things that I have on my list or things that I know. Training and development falls up under that. Compensation, paying people falls up under human resources. Safety, making sure that you have a place that's compliant with OSHA laws, that people are safe. They don't injure themselves or lose a limb or lose their life at work. That's critical. EEO and diversity also falls up under human resources, making sure that people are not discriminated against and that you're treating people fairly and that people feel comfortable bringing their whole self to work as well. Recruitment and selection falls up under HR. You know, what's the staffing piece of it? How do you find great talent? How do you get them? How do you keep them? And where do you go to find them as well? So HR covers a lot. Performance reviews, job descriptions, being able to find the right candidate for the positions, being able to make sure that you are compliant with Family Medical Leave and you're compliant with American with Disabilities Act and OSHA and workers' compensation and all of those different types of laws and rules and regulation and legislation. HR covers a lot. And early in my career, that's something that was kind of a struggle for me, being able to get my head wrapped around, what does HR really cover? What do I need to do to be compliant? What do I need to do to be a leader in this industry? Like many of you, you want to be a leader. You want to be an expert. You want to be that person that people have no problems coming to, needing an answer quickly, and you're able to give them the right information, the legal answer, and knowing exactly where you need to go, what tools and resources you need to have in your toolkit so you're able to give them the right information. Because I tell you, State laws and federal laws, they change constantly. So it's important to have the right resources. But early in my career, I struggled with that. And I learned early on that I need to do better with that. As you know, I have a very vast background working with two of the automakers, two of the big three at the time, automakers, some tier suppliers, as well as store management experience with Walmart and Toys R Us, and worked in the healthcare industry and nonprofit as well. So extensive experience. No matter what industry that you're in, you all need HR. You all need to be legal and be compliant. And that's one of the questions that people ask me when I attend seminars and train. They go, well, we're a church. Do we have to adhere to those employment laws? Our organization is a little different. Our church is a little different. Or we're a nonprofit. Do we really have to adhere to all these laws you're talking about? We're special. We don't have to adhere to that. We do things differently. Or we work in the government. We're a governmental entity. We don't have to adhere to all that. We have elected officials. We're special. We don't have to adhere to all these laws. And the truth of the matter is, yes, you do. Yes, you do. You need to be compliant as well. And that's the cool thing about human resources. No matter what industry or no matter how large or small your company is, we have to be compliant with employment laws. So early in my career, I realized that I needed to have the right resources, the right help. I needed to have the right information. I wanted to be that go-to person that my supervisor trust. They knew that I knew my information and that I was on top of my game. I was a leader in the HR field. That was very critical for me early in my career. So there were some times where I struggled with that. And even so, too, for some of you, you may have lost your job in HR due to downsizing and due to your company trying to decide who's going to stay, who's going to leave, who's going to be let go, who's going to stay and coordinate the efforts for downsizing efforts and training efforts for the organization after the restructuring, right? Yes, I'm very familiar with that process as well. I've experienced being downsized as well as I've experienced coordinating that whole process, as well as I've experienced being a consultant on the outside, going in when people lose their jobs and providing resources and helping them to find employment with outsourcing resources. So I get that whole scenario. And the cool thing about that is that it's critical that we get that right, because it's important that we're even compliant in that process as well. So you may be thinking, okay, Kimberly, I know that's me. I'm that person. I need to understand employment laws. I need to understand how to keep my company compliant. I want to be that individual that people trust, that I know my stuff. I know where to go. I'm not going to run from not being compliant anymore. I need help and resources to keep our organization, free from being sued or having lawsuits, or at least minimizing them. Because one thing that I always say too, we live in a day and age that people will sue for all kinds of reasons. Do you agree with me? Yeah, I'm telling the truth. People will sue for all kinds of reasons. So it's even more critical for you business owner, for you HR professional, to take heed and to do the very best that you can to be legal and compliant with employment laws, because people are out there waiting to find a way of how they can sue and go after you personally as well as the business. Now, one of the times that I really realized that I needed a solution in my career as relates to being legal and being compliant is when I went through audits. Yes, as HR professionals, those audits pop up that we need to be prepared for. And it's important that you are calm. You know exactly what you need to do to prepare for that audit. You can have OSHA audit. You can have a Department of Labor audit. You can have EEO office audit. You can have a USCIS audit on all of your I-9 forms. It's important that you know how to properly complete them, handle them, and file them, as well as train other leaders in your organization on that aspect as well, or on that responsibility as well. So yes, I've been through audits. It wasn't pretty. Realized that there has to be a better way. There has to be a tool, a resource that can really help prepare HR professionals for audit so they can be confident in knowing what they need to do prior to a real audit. And I tell you, one of the cool things about being prepared ahead of time is that you can have a voluntary audit that helps you go through and discover the areas that you are exposed for lawsuits and for being non-compliant. So wonderful information. It's critical that we get that right. And I understand the importance of being legal and being compliant as well. Another thing I want to share with you is the process. What are some of the things that you may need to do to become prepared, or what I had to do? And for me, yes, becoming certified was very helpful. I'm a licensed and certified HR professional. I also am a personnel agent, an agency through my companies. So those licenses and certifications are great. I have other certifications too. But it's important that you do more than just become certified, because you could be that HR professional that has certifications, right? However, you still aren't compliant. You still don't have the confidence. You still don't have the role or the responsibility that your leadership believes in you. You don't have the tools or the know-how or the confidence knowing how do you properly prepare for an audit. So the certifications were great. The experience is great, but it's important that you have the right tools to know what you need to do to be legal and be compliant with employment laws. So that was something that I realized. Yes, I'm thankful to have that. Yes, I'm thankful to conduct seminars all over, but you must have the right tools. And so what I did is I created tools from over my years of experience of working in HR and teaching it all over the world, literally. As of today, we've taught closely 3,000 HR professionals, as well as close to 2,500 businesses, with the importance of staying legal and staying compliant. And we traveled to, close to around 70 cities and around 32 or 4 states now. So who knows, you may be thinking, Kimberly, our state is unique. How do I stay on top of the federal laws and the state laws? Believe me, that's something that I have to do as an HR compliance coach. I need to be able to do that and train my clients on those different employment laws as well. So I created a tool. It's called the HR Compliance Kit, an HR compliance program, and we travel to different locations, coming to your location to check out your processes, check out your forms, your documents, check out how you have things in order with your organization, and discover areas where there may be areas of improvement for you. I call them areas of improvement, or areas that you may need some additional support. I also call that, make sure that I get this right too, areas of exposure. Everybody say exposure. Yes. A lot of times we don't want to realize or admit that we have been exposed, that there are some things that we're not doing quite right. Well, I'm able to come out to your location and conduct the audit, the voluntary audit, and help identify what areas that you may be exposed, that your business practices may be exposed, as well as yourself personally, because people can sue you personally and sue the company if you're not legal or compliant. So we come out to your location, conduct the audit, spend some hours there with you, checking out everything. We also conduct focus groups, 2 focus groups with some of your employees to really get a feel for how your employees feel about you and your organization, your processes. And then we have checklists and forms and documents that will help you to prepare. So you're able to find out, 1, what areas are you exposed? And then we give you some tips and tools on what you can do to prepare. How about that? Being able to say, okay, we may need that help. We need someone to come out that can assist us with identifying our exposure. Sometimes it's easier for an outside person that can come in, check out your processes, and quickly identify your areas of exposure versus you being closely knit to it, not realizing that you may not be doing that thing quite right, or that you may be incompliant with particular laws, or you may be too close to some of the people that really need to change, and the processes really need to change. So I wanted to make you aware that in that process, we go through our signature proprietary process that we have, our model, that walks you through every step of that audit process, what you need to do, and the areas that we need to focus on. And so what I would like to invite you to do is, if you're the person and you know that, hey, I work for an organization and my organization really is in compliance with employment laws, and you know that you are. You know that you are. And you may have had some supervisors or a boss say, we need to take this serious now. We need some training. We need to make sure that we are legal, that we are compliant. Then I'm going to invite you to click the link above and schedule a next step call with me. I call them next step calls. Some people call them discovery calls, so that we're able to go over your particular situation, our program, and see how we're able to help you to be on the path to being legal and being compliant. And so that's my invitation for you. I look forward to being able to hear from you. When you click on that link, you will go right into my calendar, and we're able to schedule a day and time that works best for us, so we can talk for around 15 minutes just to get started and to be able to identify, what are some of our next steps going forward. So if that's you, I look forward to seeing you soon. Again, this is Kimberly Benjamin, your HR compliance coach, and it's not too late for you and your business to be legal and compliant. I'm looking forward to meeting with you soon. Bye-bye.